Hello, hello. I am live on most of our social media, TikTok. We have Facebook and YouTube. My name is Michelle Perez. I'm one of the founding attorneys here at Saavedra Perez, and I'm here to answer any immigration questions that you may have. Like I said, we are live on most of our social medias. We're having some technical difficulties on Instagram, but we are here on everything else. So I'm here to answer any of your immigration questions that you may have. My name is Michelle Perez. I'm currently in Clearwater, Florida. We are a virtual firm, so that means that most of our employees are international, and we have US based, but we've worked with them for years and years and years, and we're slowly growing our team. But I am one of the founding attorneys, and Isabel is in Fairfax, and we have a office in Fairfax and in Clearwater, Florida. So if you ever did want to meet us in person, you can definitely come to those two locations. If you have any immigration questions, please post them in the comments below. I will be happy to answer any immigration questions that you have. Okay, let's see. This is why I'm here. So first question. I'm married to a man that has 3 deportations. Would he still qualify for the new law? That is a really great question, Genesis. Right now, we are still waiting for the instructions for the Biden PIP. The new law, for those of you that don't know, President Biden announced a new parole in place that he was going to release to certain undocumented individuals where they could apply for PIP. Parole in place basically means that you're given a parole and it would help you adjust your status here in the United States. So those usually are beneficial for clients that have entered without inspection and have stayed here for a number of years, and they want to adjust through their family member. Now, for someone that has 3 prior deportations, it's really important to figure out what kind of deportations there are, because there are different types. There is expedited removal orders that are issued at the border. There are removal orders issued by an immigration judge in immigration court. And there are removal orders issued administratively by ICE. And those are done outside of court. Those are done for individuals that are undocumented that maybe have what they considered an aggravated felony conviction. And so that allows them to be automatically deported without seeing a judge unless the client fears any claims any fear of returning to their country. And that's where they would be reviewed in what they call withholding only proceedings, which is just a judge reviewing the asylum that a client has. So for 3 prior deportations, I am concerned that he likely won't qualify for the new Biden PIP, but there are other avenues to relief. So I would call us for a consultation. If you do live in the Raleigh, Durham, Charlotte, North Carolina area or close by, we are traveling to North Carolina next week to host a free consultations for those residents in those areas. We will be in Charlotte for an immigration court on Thursday. We're holding a free event on Friday for the community. And on Saturday, we're holding a free event for Durham, North Carolina. So I would urge you, if you are in those locations, please call us to schedule a free consultation. But if you are not and you're looking for legal services, we also do virtual consultations. We do Zoom. We prefer Zoom because we want to see your face. We want to get to know you. We want to have that connection with you, but we also do phone. We understand technology is not for everybody. We also do phone consultations. Or if you are near Fairfax or Clearwater, Florida, we do consultations in those areas in person if you request it. But for someone that has 3 deportations, I would really review why those deportations are there, and what kind of deportations they are. They usually, when a client has 1 deportation, they are automatically issued what they call a reinstatement of removal, which is not a new deportation. It's just reinstating their old order. So a FOIA can definitely answer any questions that we have based on 3 deportations, or maybe some issues that we didn't realize that come up in their immigration history. So I hope that answers your question. Another question, if you have a perm bar, will it come out in FOIA? So perm bars are usually, just by understanding a client's history, we can determine at a consultation if the client has a permanent bar or not. For those of you that don't know what a permanent bar is, there are 2 situations that can arise where you can get a permanent bar. The first is that if you've been living here unlawfully for more than a year, meaning without any permission or status, then you depart and then you re-enter again illegally without visa or anything like that. There you trigger the permanent bar. And so the permanent bar comes into play when you're trying to get your residency. Certain applications, like a normal adjustment of status through a U.S. citizen, wife or spouse, those people would be barred from moving forward with a regular adjustment of status. However, there are certain waivers for victims of domestic violence through VAWA, victims of trafficking through T visa, and victims of crimes through U visa. So even if you have a permanent bar, it is not the end of the world. I would call for a consultation to see if you qualify for a different type of relief. There are a lot of DACA applicants out there that have permanent bars, and they cannot adjust through the U.S. citizen spouse because of a permanent bar. It's very sad, but permanent bars can even be triggered if you were a minor and your parents smuggled you out and back in. You still have triggered the permanent bar, although those actions weren't done by you and maybe done by a parent, a guardian, family member, aunt, uncle, whoever it is. So it's a very sad situation, but there are ways that you can waive it through other applications. So just because you can't adjust your status through a U.S. citizen spouse, there are other ways. So I would definitely call us for consultation to figure out if you qualify, even though you have a permanent bar. Let me see if there's any questions. Okay. Oops, sorry. Let's see. We living. And if you like this live, please thumbs up, hearts. It gives us more visibility. Other people are able to see us and we can get out to the community. We're here to provide this service for you guys, because we really do care about the immigrant community and informing you of real immigration laws, right? It's very hard, not very hard, but there's a lot of fraud going on around the world where there's notarios or notaries that say that they have immigration specialty, but they are not attorneys. There's so much that goes into immigration, guys, that it is so particular. You do not want a notario or a notary or some paralegal doing your immigration case. This is life or death for many undocumented. It's either if you file the wrong application, if you file something fraudulently, it is very hard to overcome. Now you're flagged. And now you wouldn't be able to stay in the country because maybe there was fraud done upon you, or you were issued a removal order that you weren't aware of, that the notario wasn't aware of, and now you can adjust through certain applications, but those notarios file those applications because they don't know the law. Okay, perfect. Okay, we have some more questions on TikTok. If there is no inspection. So Dalia, there is the permanent bar. If you're speaking still about the permanent bar, it is usually if you came in without inspection. If you were inspected, it just really depends on if you had a valid visa, if you entered with valid documents, if you entered with a U.S. citizen, with U.S. citizen documents, then you are still considered illegally entering because you falsely claim to be a U.S. citizen. So it's very hard. It's very hard for a notario to figure those out. There's a lot of laws. They're constantly changing. So definitely come and speak with us for a consultation. Permanent bar still qualify for Biden parole. We're still figuring out, this is a question, permanent bar still qualify for Biden parole. We're still figuring out the details on the Biden parole. It doesn't look like if you have a permanent bar, you would qualify, but I can't tell you for sure because we are waiting on the federal registrar to issue instructions. We thought it was going to come August 1st. We're all still waiting around for the administration to release that federal registrar, the final instructions for it. But we are set to start sending applications August 19th. But if we don't get more instructions, then we kind of have to wait. Okay, perfect. I have another question. Shouldn't you be speaking another language? También yo hablo español, pero mi primero idioma es inglés. Y tenemos muchos inmigrantes que están aquí desde niños que el primero idioma es inglés. So eso es razón que en los viernes yo hablo inglés y también es mi preferido idioma. Pero si tiene alguna pregunta en español, yo también puede responder. Okay, good afternoon. I was brought as a kid 2 entries. Would I have a permanent bar? I was 14 years old. It is very possible, Mario, that you have a permanent bar. It depends on the entries. There are certain arguments that I've made in the past where if you were what they call waived into the country, meaning you go to the border, you're brought by the border by your parents, your guardian, whoever they may be, and they provide a document, or maybe they have a document ready but never provide it, and you were just waved through by the officer, which was very popular in the 90s and the early 2000s, where you were waved through. That's meaning the officer didn't really look at your documents. That is considered a wave through. And we would have to prove that you were credible, that there's maybe affidavits from people on that day that can attest that you were waved through. And that does not land you a permanent bar. So there's a few arguments that we make as attorneys to try to avoid that permanent bar, but always we notify the client how risky it would be, depending on your situation. But if you do have a permanent bar, there might be other ways to fix your status. Okay, how long does the Social Security numero to arrive if I get work permit? Thank you. So usually the Social Security Administration issues the Social Security card within weeks of your work permit. Sometimes I've seen them come within the same day. It really just depends on the Social Security Administration, but I would say not more than a month or two after your work permit gets there. If you haven't received your Social Security card, then I would try to visit a Social Security Administration at your local Social Security Administration and ask what happened. They can usually tell you, oh, we mailed it to your attorney, or we mailed it and it was returned, or we haven't issued it yet. So if you have a work permit and you don't have your Social Security your Social Security card, you could definitely schedule an appointment with your local Social Security Administration. Okay, Genesis, I'm sorry. He says that it wasn't deported. They were 3 voluntary exits. I'm not sure if there's a difference. Yes, there's a huge difference. Voluntary departures or voluntary returns. Those are two different ways that are not removal orders. So it depends. If he was voluntary return, likely he's from Mexico, and likely those voluntary returns, there was no issues, meaning he didn't provide fraudulent documents, he didn't claim a fear of returning to Mexico. If those situations arise, he was likely given a voluntary return at the border. These are given at the border. If he had those and he only had one successful entry, then likely he does qualify for the Biden PIP, but we would have to figure out his history, make sure there's not any other inadmissibility issues, because there can be many inadmissibility issues that clients may not be aware of that bars them from getting residency. For example, alien smuggling sounds very intense, but if you brought your minor child with you during your entry, then they can consider that alien smuggling, and you would have to file a waiver and prove there's extreme hardship onto your family member if you're not allowed to stay. So it can become very intense if you don't know what to ask. And that's why it's so important that you have an immigration attorney reviewing your history and making sure that you are applying for the right relief and that you're eligible in the first place. You do not want to flag immigration that you are here if you're not eligible for a certain relief. Voluntary departure is another form of a non-removal order, but those are only done here in the US by ICE officials or immigration court judges. And those happen if you've been in the United States for some time. Right now it's 180 days. So if you've been here for more than 180 days, you're supposed to be given an immigration court hearing. And at that time, you can ask for voluntary departure. So it just really depends on how long you've been here before being issued that voluntary departure, leaving, and then coming back, depending if you are ineligible for a certain relief because of permanent bar. Okay, let me see. Si tiene alguna pregunta en español, usted también lo puede preguntar. Does receiving public assistance affect if my husband asks for me? So this is a common question that I get from clients. Public assistance, it just really depends on who you're getting public assistance for. So public assistance is given to U.S. citizens, and they're usually given to the children because of the children. So food stamps or even housing assistance are usually given because you have U.S. citizen children here in the United States. If that's the case, that does not count against you because those are technically given to your children. If you ask for public assistance, federal or local, and you received it maybe some time ago, either the person filling out your paperwork gave fraudulent information, because public assistance, at this point in time, you have to show proof of some status. You can't just get public assistance nowadays. You have to actually have some proof. But if it's under your kid's name, then don't worry. It doesn't affect if your husband asks for you. But if you do sign up for a consultation with us, just note that that's one of your concerns. And we can ask more intense questions as to when you received it, how long you had it, what kind of public assistance it was, because there's a difference between federal and state public assistance, and then whose name was it under, or if there was any U.S. citizens during that time. Let me see. I am worried my husband is not going to be able to show enough proof that he's been here for 10 years. So there's a lot of concerns about showing proof. This is similar to DACA. When DACA was, you still had the ability to apply for DACA. They had a requirement that you needed to show proof. am I losing? Okay. That you needed to show proof of status, or that your presence here. And so there's a lot of different ways to provide documents that you've been here. Worst case scenario, you can file affidavits or get affidavits or declarations from friends or family that can attest and notarize those declarations, saying that they know that you've been here for a fact since this year. And usually what I would do with DACA is make sure I have presence documents for every quarter of the year. So for example, if first quarter is January, February, March. So if you have a hospital bill, a speeding ticket, anything during those 3 months, that is proof that you were physically here in the United States. So we can run an FBI background, we can run a driving history record search, and we'll be able to see if you have any tickets that can help prove that you were here in the United States. Any letters that could be spam that is sent to your address, any old utility bills or anything like that. Worst case scenario, you have declarations from family and friends, and that's what we use to attest to the 10 years. I'm not concerned with proving 10 years. I've never had an issue with the past. And when it comes to DACA, we always find a way, and there's maybe medical records or anything else that we can show to show that you've been here. I only have 3 more minutes left. So if you have a question, please put it in the comments below. Anything that I can't answer today, just log in on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday next week, and we will be on live. Isabel will be on here. But just to remind everybody, we're going to be in North Carolina next week for free consultations. We'll be in Charlotte on Friday, and we'll be in Durham on Saturday. So if you live near those areas and you want a free consultation, please call us at our offices so we can set you up. These appointments are going fast. There was a lot of calls today. So we're filling up fast. So if you're in those areas, please call. If you're not in those areas, maybe you're close to Fairfax or Clearwater, Florida, Fairfax, Virginia, or Clearwater, Florida, you can still schedule an in-person appointment if you want to see us in person for a consultation. Those are not free, but those are obviously year-round. And if you're far, you can schedule a Zoom. We prefer Zoom over phone because we want to see you in person. We want to see your face. We want to get to know you. So if you need to do a consultation and maybe you're not in these areas, we can do a Zoom call so you can meet us face-to-face in person. Okay, I have time for one more question. Are we going to need evidence every month for the past 10 years? I don't have a lot for 2018. So like I said before, I usually do every quarter. So January, February, March, one piece of evidence. April, May, June, one piece of evidence. If you don't have a lot for 2018, we get what we can work with, right? And then we provide affidavits to help support the months that are missing so that we can show immigration that you have maybe affidavits from family and friends attesting that you have been here for so long. Okay. And I want to encourage everyone to follow our TikTok, our Instagram, our Facebook, our YouTube. We have a lot of videos coming out soon, very informative videos to make sure you stay up to date on the new immigration laws that are coming out. Please like and follow and invite your friends to these lives. If it's going on, hit share so that more people can be more knowledgeable. Okay. I don't have more time for more questions, but I urge you, if you are in Durham, you do need an appointment, just call us to schedule a free consultation and we will be here. We'll be in Durham on Saturday. Thank you, everybody, for joining the live today, and we will see you next week. And yeah, call us for consultations.